The tall, skinny man approached with slow steps. My friends and I could barely hold our laughter. "That's a funny way of dressing, mister. Are you at the circus in town? Do you know any magic tricks?" Eddie said, snorting. He liked joking around a lot. The man's uncanny appearance made him look like one of those people who sell you fake lottery tickets or revolutionary air conditioners that you could fit in your pocket. He wore a double-breasted black and red pinstripe suit with a black satin tie. His smile looked deceiving and his eyes held thousands of secrets. He had a fancy old walking cane with a golden lion head as a handle. The gravel crushed under his black leather shoes. His black top hat absorbed the sunlight, adding even more to his mysterious aura. "Hi there, kids. Well, you are right, young Edward. You are very right. I used to work for a circus a long time ago, but now I decided to venture into a solo business," the man said in a low-pitched voice. "Please allow me to introduce myself. Name's Edgar Verulas, at your service," the odd man said. He took a bow before us in slow motion. The tune of his creaking bones made me uneasy. "How do you know my name?" Eddie said, rising from his sitting position. At that point, I felt a tingling sensation crawl up my spine. We glanced at each other as tension built up in the air. "Whoa there, easy now, and don't be afraid. I am a magician after all. That's how I know your names. And what I also know is that magic is real. Would you like to see a trick?" "Yes, I do. Can you magically make a bunny appear?" Cassandra said, clapping her hands. "Oh, aren't you a bunch of lovely kids?" Edgar said, mimicking Cassandra's gesture. "I have something even better than a bunny, Cassandra. How about 100 for each of you if you let me give you a tour of my haunted house? What do you say?" "Well, now you're talking, Mr. Verulas," said Vince. He snorted and spat on the ground. "You have a haunted house. Is it a rigged one or the real deal?" "I'll let you kids decide. All you have to do is stay inside for one night. If you all get out, you'll get 1,000 each. I think you can imagine that it will not be an easy task, and there will be a lot of hard challenges that you must pass," Verulas said, producing a large silver key from his right side pocket. "I mean, all that money could do us good, guys," I said while looking after the key that he waved around in the cool autumn air. "Indeed. It could help you buy that console that you've always wanted, Henry, plus some extra games, right? Besides, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. My house isn't open to the public, and admission is by invitation only. I moved it around the country all year trying to find the bravest children. I'm hoping I'm not wrong when I say that you are brave, yes," the thin man said, now holding the key before my eyes. The way that he said all of our names felt very unsettling. Something about this man made me uncomfortable, but it felt like a kick in our pride if we had said no to his challenge. "Of course, you're not wrong. We aren't afraid of anything," said Emma, putting her phone in her back pocket. "I didn't expect less of you, brave young kids. Can I say, Emma, that I love how you dyed your hair? All those rainbow colors look stunning," Verulas said, grinning. That felt awkward and cringy. "Thanks, I guess," she replied. "Can I ask, how do you move your house around the country? Seems a difficult process to do that," said David, flicking a cigarette butt. "Stop littering, David," cried Emma, picking up the butt and handing it back to him. "Sorry, I forget sometimes. Lucky me that you're the voice of reason," he replied, rolling his eyes ironically. "Can we go home now? I don't like this guy. Screw his money." "Come on, dude, it's going to be fun," Emma replied. David puffed, rolling his eyes again. To answer your question, David, the house floats around the country. I move it around using magic and it can appear wherever I want it to. I call it the floating house. Its residents always like it when they see a new place, such as your beautiful little town. Verulas said, I swear this is the most awkward advertisement pitch if I've ever heard one, said Eddie, irritated. You expect us to believe you. Smells like BS to me, and guess what? No matter how much gold you put on it, it still smells. Verulas said that he didn't expect us to believe him. He still handed us the $100 bills and told us to be at the clearing in the woods at midnight sharp. That's where the house will be. I'm sure you know there was nothing there until a few days ago. If you see the house, you will know I mean business. After all, you kids are brave and like challenges. It's all fun and games and you get to win a lot of money. Verulas said as he handed me the key. He told me to take it and use it to open the front door. And then he told us that inside, we would find a list of strict rules that we had to follow during our stay in the house. Under no circumstances would we deviate from them. And you expect one or some of us would be stupid enough and break the rules, and then we would fail the challenge. I've seen many movies and read many books, and I know that you're safe if you follow the rules. If not, then you're dead meat, said Vince, checking to see if the $100 bill was real. Seems legit. All right, children. I think you have had enough of me for now. How about seeing each other at the end of this haunted house adventure? I'll be waiting for you with open arms and $1,000 each, Verulas exclaimed, rubbing his hands together. Can you show us a bit of magic so we know that you're not a fraud? Inquired David, calm and collected as a sniper on the battlefield. Why, of course I can, David. How about you think of a number between 1 and 10,000? You can even whisper it to some of your friends here before I say it. Verulas said, turning his back. Let me know when you're ready, Dave. I'll even cover my ears. David gathered everybody in a circle and we sat as if in a rugby scrum. All right, boys and girls, let's send this idiot home. I'm thinking of the number 7,256. It's as random as I can make it. He can't guess it, right? He whispered. Yeah, not a chance, man, Vince replied. We broke the circle and David told Verulas that he had picked a number. All right, young man, your face looks full of determination and discipline, and I'm sure you think you made this a hard guess for me, but I can assure you that that is not the case, as I always get these things right. Call me a mind reader, call me a magician, call me the devil or just a lucky man, but I know that your number is 7,256. Verulas said, and that poisonous grin appeared on his face again. How the... David didn't get to finish his sentence. He stood there frozen in disbelief. Your favorite food is pizza and your favorite color is blue. 3 years ago you got stung by a bee and almost died from shock. Luckily, you got administered a shot and Dr. Meadows saved your life. Cassandra, your grandfather built this town and made it flourish and become the diamond it is today. I could go on forever talking about everything, but you might just get bored. I could show you a card trick, make pigeons appear from thin air, and I could change the weather. You think of a thing that seems impossible and I can do it, Verulas said, rolling his eyes. I felt all blood drain from my face and the air bore a grave-like silence. The more that I looked at him talking, the dizzier that I got. The whole world spun around me, and I prayed for the moment when he would go away and he would leave us alone. Yet I felt like we had no choice but to do what he said. In a way, we felt his enormous power even though he only used a fraction of it to control our minds, answers, and decisions. His hypnotic stare, the way that he articulated some words, and how he persuaded us to go and take a tour of his haunted house, spoke volumes about how vicious he was. I felt in the depths of my soul that he was much more than the eye met. He waved goodbye and told us to arrive on time, which meant not a second later than midnight. We all watched him getting smaller and smaller until he finally went out of view on the winding roads. Did you guys feel it too? The way that he made us listen to every word he said. Dang it, now I have a huge headache, David said, massaging his temples. Yeah, it's like he held us captive in some invisible shackles and he played with our minds, Emma said, her hands shaking uncontrollably. I'm scared, guys. I'm terrified to go into that place. I am too, but I don't think we have a choice now, do we? We took his money, or better said, he made us take his money, and now we have to play his game. I can't imagine what he'll do to us if we don't hold up our end of the deal, said Cassandra. Yeah, dang it looks like we have no other choice than to go, I said, biting my nails as I felt my heart falling into the claws of absolute dread. We didn't say much on our way home. Maybe it was out of fear, maybe Verulas did something to our minds. His infectious grin poisoned the back of my head. It plastered itself there like growing cancer, ever expanding and corrupting everything in its wake. The hours passed and midnight came closer. We all snuck out and met at the last street before the woods started. The silence of the night felt heavy on our shoulders. I didn't know what to expect when we got there, knowing that it was too late to back down. I told everybody not to fear anything and to be brave. I thought of Verulas' words, saying that he needed brave kids for this challenge. Maybe those words had a secret meaning behind them. The trees loomed over us, offering us safe passage and shielding us from the beasts that haunt our world during nights like this. An owl hooted in the distance, and a swarm of crows cawed as they flew from the trees. Maybe they warned us that it was not too late and that we should go back. Dang it, we should have hired a TV crew to follow us around. This adventure has all the ingredients to become a series or a movie. I mean, it's perfectly laid out in front of us, Vince said, checking his phone. We still have 20 minutes left and should see the clearing quickly. Well, there's a lot more until the adventure ends. It hasn't even begun, Vince. I'm curious about what the house looks like, Cassandra said, imitating a ghost. We all chuckled and continued walking through the night's deep and dark vastness, greeted by a dense fog that smelled like petrichor and sweet rose jam. We set eyes on Verulas' old and diseased house. The house, old and creaky, stood approximately 2 feet above the ground, floating as if controlled by an invisible and evil force. It creaked from all its joints, nooks, and crannies, the windows dimly illuminated by sick yellow lights. They seemed to grow in intensity as we approached the ancient wooden building. It swayed to and fro as gently as a feather carried away by gusts of wind. We felt its magnificent force, our hearts getting heavier by the minute. A maelstrom of fear and insecurity took shape inside my mind, twisting and turning endlessly and taking away whatever courage that I had left. We're going in to die, David said dramatically. I didn't know if he meant to say that out loud. It felt more like a monologue. Sorry about that. I don't know what's gotten into me. He glanced at me, his eyes shining with terror and disgust. Yet we all knew that we couldn't go back. The money that Verulas gave us meant that we had a binding contract with him. Who knew what this peculiar man's actions would be if we had turned back and walked away? Do you guys feel it too? Cassandra asked, placing the right hand over her heart. This house, it senses that we're here. It feeds on our fear. I can feel my heart beating faster than it ever had. A black fog enveloped the house, and a loud metallic noise made our bodies tremble. I twisted the key in the lock and a melody introduced us to our unforgettable adventure. We hurried inside as if pushed by the dark clouds above our heads. The air outside smelled like a storm would soon arrive, and we would be safer inside the house, or so the house wanted us to believe. Inside, a giant chandelier hung from the ceiling and dimly illuminated the old walls, a sickly pale and feverish yellow hue that hurt our eyes, while flickering and buzzing as if sending us secret Morse code messages. Wood cracked in the fireplace, and as such, it sent shadows on the walls that danced like black little and deceiving devils. Jasmine, lemon, and chamomile fragrances spread throughout the ancient mansion. It reminded me of the tea my grandmother made in childhood whenever I had a cold. It smells beautiful in here. All these paintings, the mahogany furniture, and the grand chandelier are mesmerizing. This Verulas guy has great taste, Emma exclaimed, her eyes filled with wonder. I gotta admit it myself, this place looks like it was taken right out of a book, said Vince. He looked at the long dark corridor at his left where a door creaked. Did you guys hear that? We all nodded as the rising tension made our shrinking hearts beat faster. Wasn't there supposed to be a list of rules here? Asked Cassandra. Silence settled all around us as the door creaked again. We glanced at it and saw that it had opened. The corridor seemed even longer now. With bated breath, we moved toward that door. I suppose we'll find it in there, said David, pointing at the half-open door. Moving towards the door, passing small windows to our left and even smaller paintings to the wall on our right, I thought about how we had ended up in this situation. Have we chosen to come here, or did Verulas persuade us to and as such, satisfy his hunger for whatever game he wanted to play here? Vince opened the door and saw a skeletal figure pointing at us. A demented, evil laugh filled every inch of the house. Fear crawled up my spine and Emma screamed and hugged Cassandra. David froze in place while Eddie's face went pale all of a sudden, his blood all but draining from it. Vince had been the only one who didn't even flinch. Screw this old guy and his stupid antics, Vince said, flipping the lights on. I ain't scared of your stuff, Verulas. Is everyone good? One of the skeletons used in biology classes stood before us, his plastic bones all yellowed with age. He held a red crumpled paper in his right hand while his left pointed at us as if telling us to take it. I'm okay, even though I almost had a heart attack, said Emma, panting. Guess we found his BS list of rules here. I'll take it, I said. I grabbed the red paper and unwrapped it and read it out loud for all my friends to hear. Welcome to the floating house. I very much hope that you enjoy your stay with us. Please read the rules of this house. If you follow them accordingly, you will get to the end of your adventure safe and sound. Even better, you'll each win $1,000. 1. If you see the red door and hear knocks from the other side, do not open it. 2. If you meet a bald, big, strange fellow with an orange beard who wants to offer you gold coins, you must be careful. He seems peaceful, but that could not be further from the truth. He will tell you a riddle, and if you do not know the answer, he'll pluck all your fingernails and eat them. 3. If you encounter a black door with a golden knob, you must all knock on it. When it opens, you have to go in and stay inside the pitch-black darkness for just 1 minute. Once the alarm rings, you'll find yourselves back where you last were. 4. Room 33 is where you can rest for a few moments. This is the safe room. You will not be harmed in here. The lady in red playing the violin will help you regain your strength and heal any wounds that you might have. Listen to her full song. 5. Do not touch the harlequin dolls in the circus room. If you do, they will come to life and laugh into your ears until your head explodes. 6. You will arrive in the room with clocks. There is a silver key there which you can buy from the clockmaster with coins from Redbeard. If you do not have said coins, you must offer him a personal thing. Personal as in a strand of hair, a finger, an eye, your tongue. You get the idea. You will need the key to unlock the exit door. 7. Beware of the uninvited guest. There will be a person who will join the group and you will not even realize it. I don't even know who they are. I mean, this is my house too. They've been here for 250 years and I can't find them. If you see them and manage to trap them, I will ensure your reward is a thing out of this world. 8. If you find a harmonica, you need to play it. The musical notes will lead you to the golden door, which holds secrets that will change your life forever. This never happened to anyone in the history of this house, so it's almost impossible to happen to you, but I had to tell you this. 9. A woman made of spiders roams the halls of this house. If you see her, do not engage. Walk past her, do not make contact. If she smells your fear, it's already too late. So do not be afraid if you see her, or you will die. 10. The room with crystals appears at random. Inside, you will find a piece of paper with the last rule of this game. You must follow the rules only if they apply to the situation. Some of the rules stated in this list might not happen. Last but not least, I wish you all good luck. I will be waiting for you at the end of this journey. I expect you all to live and stay, let's say, intact. Good luck. Yours truly, Edgar Verulas. Yeah, screw this, said Vince. These rules seem kinda friendly, which is totally BS. We all know how Verulas is because we saw him. He has that devilish grin. Do you guys remember when he almost took control of our minds? Remember when we looked into his eyes and saw that behind those pupils was a deep black, infinite void ready to consume everything in its wake? Yeah, I saw it, but I don't think we could have done anything about it. I don't think it was even our decision to be here. He wanted us to play, so he got us to play this stupid game. We must gather our marbles, stay safe, and focus on getting out of here alive. The most important thing is to stay together and not lose sight of one another, I replied. Verulas might as well have been the devil himself. He might have been a long-forgotten god who returned triumphantly to Earth to wreak havoc and destroy humanity. I didn't know what or who the heck he was. All I know was that he wasn't from this place. He had great powers and knew many secrets, and he could twist your mind into doing his bidding. Better to listen to him than to die, or worse. By God, we had to get out of this cursed house. The long corridors, the ugly chandeliers, the screechy sounds, and the grotesque paintings of deformed people who looked at us with prying and hateful eyes made my stomach twist into knots. Dolls creep me the heck out, ugh. Cassandra screamed out of nowhere. They give me the heebie-jeebies. It's alright, Cass, we won't touch them if we see them, David said. Hey guys, you know that I love you all right. We need to be extra careful in this house because nothing is what it seems. Let's just play the game by Verulas' rules. I'll read them aloud again, and whenever we have doubts, we just pull the paper out and reread them just to make sure. Aight, Vince said. We nodded and listened to each rule again. You take it, Henry, Vince said, handing me the paper. Oh, now what? Asked Eddie. That's a good question, I replied. As far as this game went, we were inside the house, we had the rules, but We had no idea what we needed to do. We inspected the surroundings for anything that might have been useful to our little horror adventure, an adventure that could claim our very lives. Maybe that house needed sustenance and only ate children in their souls and brains, and we would be trapped there forever like ghosts without purpose. "What are we supposed to do, Verulas?" David cried. "You think this is fun, don't you? You like scaring children, huh?" "Whoa, easy Dave, take it easy man, it's gonna be alright. If we follow the rules, we'll survive this place," Eddie said. "Stop it, please," Emma whispered. "Maybe this is what he wants. Maybe he wants us to stress out and be afraid so that we'll mess up." "That's a good point," I concurred. "Let's calm down, people," I said. I looked everybody dead in the eye, trying to assure them mentally that it would all be okay, even though I was scared out of my wits. "The floating house tour begins now. Thank you for being here," a voice said from the speakers above the large stairs that led to the first floor. A big letter X came alive right under those speakers. "X marks the spot, right?" Cassandra said. "Let's all go there." We climbed the stairs and saw the red door. A collective gasp escaped our mouths and we became statues frozen in time and place. A violent series of knocks and aggressive poundings came from the other side of the door, and words soon followed. "Let us out, please. He's not who he says he is," a cacophony of young voices cried. "Wait, don't say anything," I whispered. "The first rule didn't say anything about voices, did it?" I pulled the paper out just to make sure. I nodded to reinforce the last sentence. "Nah, let's ignore it and move on. Maybe whatever's on the other side, it might kill or drive us insane. Let's stay focused on the task at hand," Vince said. "Screw what's on the other side, I don't care." "Please, we know things. We stood where you stand. We were once children too, like you. Now we can't leave this place. Henry," they said again, a choir of ghostly voices calling my name. I felt my legs turning to concrete. "Henry, don't let him get in your head, man," David said, squeezing my shoulder. "Open the door, Henry. I miss you, son. I miss you so much. It's cold and dark here. Please, we can be together again." A wave of emotion washed over me as I heard my dead father's voice. He had passed away 3 years ago, and I remembered his smile immediately. Thousands of memories went through my mind like strips of film in an old and dusty cinema theater. My whole world came crashing down inside and around me as I wanted this to be true, but I knew that it wasn't. Verulas and his disgusting house liked to feed on pain. He gave me the best advice. "Son, always trust your gut. If something's too good to be true, it's probably not." I knew that the house wanted to play tricks on me. It made me hear and remember the person that I missed the most. Even though a tidal wave of sadness washed over me, I kept my composure strong and didn't buy the house's twisted plan for us. I sighed and swallowed the bitter sorrow I felt at that moment. The only sure thing was that my dad had been gone for a few years, buried 6 feet under, and probably was only bones now. I wiped the tears from my face and didn't say a word. I passed the door and motioned everyone to follow me. When I looked back, the door had vanished. Sorry guys, I need a minute or two. This felt so real. Verulas, he likes to feed on our sadness and fear, huh? I sighed. We need to get out of here fast. I sat on the floor and thought about the whole situation for a moment. Why us? I mean, why did he target us? Had he felt a strong connection between all of us? Doesn't he like true friendship? I kept staring down the long corridor of the first floor. It seemed to be infinite, stretching into nothingness. The silence that surrounded us was grave-like. It was as if tiny evil monsters lurked in the shadows or behind furniture, waiting to see what plan we had devised or if we would go completely and utterly insane. On the left side of the door, a light bulb came to life. Its dim pale bluish hue illuminated an ordinary door. But that wasn't all. On the floor right in front of the door was a small box with a harlequin head drawn on it. A small handle on one side began slowly rotating, and a creepy tune began playing. A Jack-in-the-Box. I absolutely hate that song. My brother used to stand at my door in the middle of the night humming that song. I always thought that the devil came to my door, right until he told me that he just liked messing with me. What a prick, right? David said. He clenched his fists and beads of sweat rolled down his temples. For a moment he found himself gritting his teeth like he was 5 years old again, hiding under the blanket from whatever was outside of his room. Yeah, that sucks. That stays with you even after you know the truth, Vince replied. The music stopped and a harlequin head popped up from the box. It extended his right hand with its index finger pointing to the door. I'm pretty sure Verulas wants us to have a mini heart attack as we progress this thing, Emma said as she looked at the creepy thing. Not kill us, but scare us whenever he gets the chance. I guess so, huh? He's been doing that since we met him, Cassandra replied. Also, he messed with Henry's mind. Now look at Dave. He's as white as chalk dust. I think that he may have something ready for everyone. We must remind ourselves that whenever something here personally targets us, it's not personal. It's just something Verulas is doing to feed his twisted sense of humor, or maybe to feed on our fear, Vince said. A collective broke out, followed by everyone nodding their heads. The door opened as the Jack-in-the-Box caught on fire and exploded into fireworks. Colors floated in the air like fireflies. They seemed to have no direction until letters took form saying, "Enter." A large room filled with porcelain dolls, plushies, life-sized clown puppets, and harlequins greeted us. They all looked at us like we were intruders. At the other end of the room, there is another door with a neon exit sign above. What's the rule saying, boss? Vince said. Rule number 5. Do not touch the harlequin dolls in the circus room. If you do, they will come to life and laugh into your ears until your head explodes. Right. So screw the harlequins. We can touch the bears, puppies, clowns, and the creepy porcelain dolls that look like they could eat my heart in under a second, right? Vince laughed nervously. Right. Who the heck knows anymore? Let's head for the exit and keep our eyes open and ears sharp. Dave and I will lead. Cass and Emma, you stay in the middle, then Vince with Eddie at the back. Sounds cool, I said. I feel like we're being watched big time. Emotions were high and fear was the same, but we all looked at each other and nodded in approval. Steady, let's roll. Slowly, Vince said. A slow creaking sound behind us. What was that? Eddie said. Cassandra was the first to turn around and see a 3-foot-tall mechanical harlequin staying right behind us. The heck is that? Vince asked. A harlequin, Cassandra replied. Not the time, Cass, I replied. Like the door, that thing came out of nowhere with a huge grin plastered on its face and big eyes that rotated to and fro. I'm starting to feel dizzy, David said. That thing is staring right at me. Run for the exit, now, Vince exclaimed. Don't look back, go. All around us, the doll's gaze fixated on us. An ungodly number of harlequins popped up out of nowhere. The one behind us began walking like a robot, trying to catch all or just one of us. For half a second I glanced back, afraid that the thing might hypnotize me. I only saw its opened mouth with 2 sets of long, sharp teeth. It squinted its eyes in anger, seemingly hungry and unwilling to waste one more second. All the harlequins came to life and some even had lights in their eyes. After running tirelessly for what seemed an eternity, a creepy nursery rhyme came to life right when we had reached the door. It was a twisted version of Pop Goes the Weasel, tailored for us and the situation. All around the circus room, the children screamed in horror, ready to be tortured and consumed. Pop go the children. The harlequin is hungry now. It wants to eat your flesh and soul. Don't breathe, don't blink or else you'll die. Pop go the children. The song came from inside of the harlequin. I think Verulas had placed a tape there because it sounded pre-recorded. The harlequin let out a demonic laugh and the song played again. This time it slowed midway. The harlequin stopped as if it had batteries that just went dead. "Done. Let's go," David said. "Let's get out of here." David had managed to open the door at last. It all ended with the same song. We all went through and the door closed. In the red paint, the words, "Are you scared yet?" dripped on the door. That was a close call. I thought that I'd have nightmares about that harlequin's face for years to come. "I need my inhaler, this is too much," Emma said. "It's okay, Em, take your time. There's no way that I'll let anything happen to you. I swear on my mother's life. I'll die before something bad happens to you," Vince said. "Thanks, Vince, you're my hero," Emma replied and proceeded to high-five Vince. "Right I am," he assured her. Another close call. Wait, where are we now? This is like the opposite of the luxurious yet creepy main entrance, Cassandra said. We all turned and looked around. The wallpapers on the walls had peeled off from the passing of time and cockroaches roamed free in all directions. Broken chairs, a dusty table, and a moldy sofa lay scattered as if an angry person had violently thrown them around. Cobwebs spread out through the room like a virus, and an occasional fly got stuck in the sticky threads. The air smelled like dead animals on the side of the road on a hot summer day. A rat gave its last breath in the far corner of the room. One last twitch of the leg and it was gone, dead as disco. But there lurked something in the shadows. A wheezing sound came from the dark. A thin, sickly arm extended to grab the rat under the moonlight from a broken window on the far right end of the room. The skin was colored a dark and sickly green, with gangrenous black spots. The black nails on the long, thin fingers almost fell off from the rotten flesh. Swiftly, it pulled the rat back into the darkness. I could hear how the animal's bones broke and the flesh tore apart. Whatever body that hand was attached to, it was ravenous. We all gagged at the sound of slurping and chewing. The chomping came to a halt. "Don't move an inch," I whispered. "I think I know what this is," Emma whispered. Two small red lights blinked in the darkness, and they moved forward slowly and steady. Tiny spiders came forward. "Crap, the woman made of spiders. It's like we don't have time to catch our breath," said Vince. "Alright, don't be scared. If I remember correctly, it says to walk right past her." He turned back to look at me and I nodded. A woman covered in a dark green goo stepped out in the moonlight. Spiders crawled on her, getting into her mouth, nose, and ears. She wanted to speak, but only a soft wheezing came out. I couldn't understand any of the words. "Wama," she said, her cracked lips barely touching each other. Behind two small spider webs, her red eyes glistened, illuminating the whole room. Spiders burst her lip open and came out in big numbers. The few strands of her hair on her head resembled strings of decaying cotton. "What is she trying to say?" Cassandra asked. "Is she going to move?" "Wait, look behind her," "There's a door," Eddie said. The number 33 was written on a small black patch with gold foil stamping. "My children," the woman said out of nowhere. "You are my children." Spiders came out of her mouth in rivers, splashing on the rotten floor like a waterfall. The green, red, purple, blue, and black spiders came toward us with flashing speed. "Stay put, don't get scared, please," Vince screamed. "Walk through them and past the old hag. Let's get to safety." "We're all tired and could use a minute's rest," David said. The spiders marched forward as if going to war with humankind. We all began ambling, crunching them under our sneakers. The woman slowly turned her head as we walked past her. "Smack them if they crawl on you," Vince cried. Emma opened and twisted the knob and we entered room 33. "I don't think I'll sleep for the next 5 years," Emma said, panting. "It's good that we kept our composure and didn't get scared. Or maybe we were scared but didn't show it." "Are you kidding me? I was scared out of my mind, but I knew I'd be dead meat if that old hag sensed it," Vince said, panting. He lay down for a bit. The light in the room flicked open. A small theater-like stage with red velvet curtains now appeared in front of us. 6 red velvet chairs with our names sewn with white thread stood before the stage. "Please have a seat on the designated chairs. The private concert of our Romanian violin prodigy, Ilinica Aaron, will commence shortly. Please turn off your mobile devices and enjoy this rare show," a woman's voice said from 2 speakers above the stage. We all sat down and turned off our phones as instructed. A gong sound made the room tremble. A few moments of silence followed. A thin man appeared and pulled the curtains to reveal the stage. An angelic, tall, blonde-haired woman dressed in a red dress stood on a chair with a violin between the side of her jaw and collarbone. Tears rolled down her faces the moment that she began playing. It was the most beautiful tune that I had ever heard. She cried too, rivers of tears slowly rolling down her cheeks and landing on the violin. She wore high-heel shoes that shined as if made from crystal and diamonds. Rainbow colors illuminated the room. It was as if the instrument fed on her tears to play that song. My heart beat faster and I saw my friends couldn't move either. The violin song mesmerized us. Hypnotic in her playing, Ilinica Aaron cried until their tears turned red. Blood now came from her eyes and it dripped on the violin. This felt wrong. Verulas used her for his own devices to once again satisfy his immense hunger by hurting people, by making them feel sad. The violin grew sharp spines that poked through the woman's fingers as blood fell on the wood. Now each drop of blood bloomed into a dark crimson rose until it covered the sides of the violin. The bow slowly swayed to and fro on the string, up and down, up and down. A myriad of feelings coursed through my body. I felt happy, sad, energized, and tired at the same time. I remembered my dad's laugh. He always encouraged me to be my best self. Ilinica finished playing. She had 2 dark, black-red lines in her face and her eyes were the saddest thing that I had ever seen. The hand holding the violin was bloody too. The rose withered and fell off the instrument. She took a bow. A door opened behind her. "You were brilliant. A few more performances like this and you can go back home to your family," the voice said. It was Verulas. That prick held her against her will to perform in this room for kids. He forced them to play a sick, supernatural game. The curtains closed and the lights turned off. The door that we had come in through opened again. We were silent for a few minutes, keeping our heads down low, looking at the floor. None of us could say anything, but we knew how each other felt deep inside. I wonder who that poor woman was. She seemed so sweet yet sad and tired. Cassandra sighed. I'll remember her forever. Her song left something in me, a strange feeling that I don't think will ever go away, Vince said. As I mentioned in the beginning, he was the strong guy in our group of friends. Stern, gritty, and never took anything from anybody. I hadn't seen him before the way that he was after the song. I think we all feel the same way, Vince, Emma said. Guys, I don't want to be rude, but do you guys also feel fresh, like super energized? I feel exactly as the rule said. David exhaled. We all said yes in unison. A light turned on the left side of the side, illuminating a door. It opened by itself. I think we gotta go through there, right? Eddie said, pointing at the door. Here we go again, Vince replied. The smell of food hung in the air. Our stomachs growled instantly. We found ourselves standing in the kitchen. Man, I'm freaking hungry, Cassandra said. I think it's from the smell. Maybe it's getting us high or something like that, I replied. But it smells so delicious. A large pot boiled on top of the gas stove. A fish head stood on the counter, blood and guts beside it from what probably was an earlier evisceration. Jars filled with liquids that seemed expired and gross. Dirty knives, forks, and spoons lay scattered on the kitchen counter and floor. One thing stood out in all that disgusting excuse of a kitchen. A large mason jar filled with gold coins. The sausage and other various types of meat were nailed to the ceiling. Also, a pig's head was stuck in a spike on the left wall, with a bucket under it for the blood to drain. The pig had a sort of evil grin on its face and it looked right at us. The kitchen led to another room. Loud banging noises came from there. I heard a man's voice getting angry with each thud. Dang bones. Huh? What do I smell there? The man asked himself. The door busted open and the man stepped inside the kitchen and we froze. The man's belly was enormous and the goiter was so big that it covered his chin. Beads of sweat formed on his bald head as he looked at us with awe. Vegetable oil, blood, and fish scales dripped from his long orange beard. He wore a ripped t-shirt with his cartoonized face that read, Papa Bud's Best Bites. Children, welcome, he exclaimed, belching. It's good to have you here. Excuse the mess. We all stood petrified as we watched that man. Spittle flew from his mouth whenever he talked, and his rotten teeth added to his already horrific demeanor. At one point, I thought that I saw worms in the back of his throat eating away at his amygdala. Fat dripped off his fingers. He wiped his hands on his dirty jeans, but the fat kept coming out of his fingers, as if it came from inside of his skin. He sweated a lot and belched even more. At first, I thought that he was an idiot, one big idiot. But of course, nothing was what it seemed in that house. And I also remembered the rule. We would get the gold coins only in exchange for a correct answer to one of his riddles. What's your name? Emma asked. We all glanced at her, letting her know with our eyes not to speak. Oh, it says right here on the t-shirt, miss. Bud, but short for Budley. I used to be one of the best chefs in the world at some point, you know. But then Edgar Verulas came into my restaurant and he didn't like my food. He said that it tasted bland. Bland. I had 3 Michelin stars for Christ's sake, he said. He belched again and a cloud of thick green smoke came out of his mouth. Radioactive breath, let me tell ya. Phew. Another prisoner for Verulas' diabolical will. How did he make you come here? I asked. Well, he said he'd kill my mama if I didn't come and learn to cook here. He'd been giving me these green pills that make me go kinda insane in the brain. I see stuff that's not there, and that stuff that's not there, it tells me things. Right now it says that I need to eat all you fingernails if you don't give me the right answer. he said. The man was crazy. I pitied him because it wasn't his fault. The demon Verulas made him like this. He made poor Bud go crazy and he didn't even know what he was doing anymore. Can we give you something else in exchange for the gold coins? Vince asked. No, Bud cried. We have to follow the rules. The rules are important to this house. If we follow the rules, nothing bad will happen. We all looked at each other in awe. The white in Bud's eyes had turned red and popped out of their sockets halfway. He stared at us with malicious intent as if possessed by an evil spirit. No, you only have 60 seconds to give a correct answer. If you don't have one, I'll pluck all your fingernails with these right here pliers. I'll take the ones off your feet too and make them into a delicious meal. Bud yelled. He was completely gone. His brain wiring scrambled beyond repair. The riddle was as follows. Not born but from a mother's body drawn, I hang until half of me is gone. I sleep in a cave until I grow old, then valued for my heart in gold. What am I? What's the answer, children? You want the gold coins, don't you? Give me the answer. My heart wanted to burst out and run from my chest. The pressure and the stress became unbearable, and I could imagine how Bud would slowly put off the nails from my fingers and toes. A shiver down my spine made me cringe at the thought. All right, Vince screamed. So it's gotta be food related. I mean, the guy's obsessed with food, right? I mean, look at this place. David asked. We had a fast debate, and it comes from a mother, but it's not born. Good for consumption. Cow's milk. You hang it someplace dark until it turns to something gold. It's gotta be cheese, right? Asked Emma. Hurry, 15 seconds. Belched Bud. Yeah, that's it. 10. I exhaled. 5, 4, 3. Cheese. It's cheese, I exclaimed. He smashed his fist against the table and roared like a wounded animal. He looked at us with crazy eyes and couldn't believe that he wouldn't have fingernails for supper that day. He nodded regretfully and proceeded to open the mason jar with gold coins. He carefully gave us one and pointed to the door that we had entered through. We hauled Bud in a second and found ourselves in a new room. Clocks ticked all around us. Both old and new clocks covered the walls, all showing different times. On the ceiling was a large clock with our faces drawn inside it. Hey, they missed my face on that thing, bummer. A kid's ghastly voice whispered from behind us. What was that? Vince said. Oh, it's me, Oliver. I've been following you for quite some time. Rule number 7, right? Beware the uninvited guests, blah blah blah. Out of thin air, a kid with a torn striped pajama. He dragged a beat-up teddy bear with buttons instead of eyes. He was abnormally thin like a straw and translucent. I could see his ribs, organs, and intestines, everything through him. What happened to you, kid? David asked. He's been lying to you about everything. You won't get out of here alive. I tried to warn you from behind the door, but you wouldn't listen. So I had to sneak out and warn you all. I told you that I was once like you. He promised me and my friends money if we finished the challenge. We did finish and we got the key from the clockmaster. And then we went into the room with crystals where we were supposed to find the last rule of the game. The last rule said that one of my friends should stay here and the rest could go home. The alternative was that all of us would die, he said. Guess who stayed behind? How do we know you're not one of Verulas' tricks? Cassandra asked. You don't. You'll have to trust me if you want to live, Oliver replied. He went on with the story. Everyone in the floating house was dead. Some didn't even know it. Oliver knew it, but he said that he couldn't leave this place until somebody burned it to the ground. Bud was dead, trapped in Verulas' purgatory. Same with Ilnika. She thought that she would go home if she played a couple more concerts, but that wasn't bound to happen. That lady with spiders, well, she didn't even exist. Verulas made her real only to see if children got scared. If they did get scared, Verulas would be the one to eat them, not the woman. And the clockmaster, he had a shop in Zurich and Verulas went there to buy a watch. He liked the man and his skills and decided to make him his personal watchmaker. Alexander Meyer was his name. Verulas wanted a watch that moved backwards so that he could travel to the past and change it. The watchmaker told him that that was impossible, but Verulas told him to make it possible. He gave him powers, knowledge, and everything, but some things could never be attained. I was absolutely sure that he was telling the truth. We all gathered in a circle and we were on the same page. The ghost kid was legit. I'm buried under the floorboards, we all are. He killed us and somehow didn't let us rest and brought us back to serve him. He loves this house, but right now he's just waiting in the room with crystals. He's resting until you get the second silver key. He gave you one in the beginning so that you could enter of your own free will. He gave you the 100 just for fun. But know that he wants your bodies and souls, and one of you will die if you don't follow me. Or you'll all die. He sighed. He told us that he's been in this house for 250 years and all the children who came after never listened. Verulas killed them all, not many though, and discarded their bodies in the mountains, woods, rivers, deserts, and places that they would never be found. Oliver was all alone because Verulas wanted him to be, and to feel alone with nobody to talk to. I'm so sorry, Oliver, Cassandra said. We believe you. Show us the way and we'll help. Well, okay, so he likes to burn the bodies after they're dead. He likes the smell of the burning flesh. He's that sick. I watched him countless times. He takes a great pleasure in that, Oliver said. He told us that Verulas kept cans of gasoline in a tiny closet. He knew where it was and knew about a secret exit that he protected so that if anybody would ever listen to him, he could guide them to safety. Will it kill Verulas? Asked Eddie. That monster needs to die so this wouldn't happen ever again. I sure hope so, said Oliver. Let's set this place of evil ablaze. We left the room with clocks and walked a long corridor where the cold wind howled and the air smelled like death. We entered the room where there were a few canisters of gasoline. Matchboxes stood on a shelf. Think you can carry one each? Oliver asked. Heck yeah, we can, replied Vince. I'll carry 2 even. Dave, you take 2 as well. Cass M, you take the matches and let's burn this mother down. After that, Oliver led us to a back door where he asked us to open it because he couldn't grab physical objects. I opened the door which led to the backwoods. We got out with the gas cans and Oliver stood teary-eyed in the doorway. We got you, buddy. Rest easy now. You will all need to pour the gas and light a match. The power of friendship is strong and can destroy evil. So long, my friends, Oliver said. The door closed shut. We circled the house and poured all the gasoline from the 5-gallon cans. We lit the matches. To friendship. I love you guys, I said. You're my brothers and sisters, Vince said. Love y'all, David said. I love you lots, Emma said. Best friends forever, Cassandra said. I'll tattoo your names on my arm, I swear, said Eddie, giggling. We set the house on fire. Screams came from inside, along with high-pitched wails, as if whatever possessed it had died in agony. I could hear a familiar voice, tormented as the house turned to ashes. I will return someday, I am immortal. I will find you again, mark my words. I thought that I saw a flame shaped like Verulas' face. He glanced at me before the wind swept it away. After the flames ended, it seemed like nothing had ever happened there. The ghost house was no more and the ground was just as before. We all looked out at the stars. Some blinked as if saying hello and sending thanks. Maybe they went to the stars and beyond and wanted to let us know that everything was alright. I hope Oliver, Ilika, Bud, and Alexander will all be able to rest. And I also hope that Verulas rots below. Here's to true friends.